I wonder how the sale's doing. So we go to the analytics dashboard, and we had just matched Black Friday.
You did 7 figures in a weekend. Holy shit.
We can't turn the website off, but we, in 44 minutes, we just did what we thought we would do in 44 hours.
Welcome back to the 4Media Uncut podcast. We got two amazing guests today, flying all the way from Arizona, fellow young entrepreneurs from the Middle East, originally based out of Arizona, running one of the fastest growing e-commerce brands in the United States. We got Mr. Akram and Mr. Ahmad. You guys are going to get to know a lot about them in this episode, but most importantly, not only where they came from, but these guys achieved something that most people would never do in their lifetime, which is a 7-figure day. I'm talking over $1 million in 24 hours, not once, but multiple times, over and over again. And the best part is, on the back end, they did it for a good cause. And they're going to break down step by step how they did it, what exact tactics and strategies they did, not some fluff of flexing the numbers that they did, but showing us step by step, the weeks before, the months before, how everything was planned, how it was executed, and how you can do some sort of similar strategy in your business to be able to get somewhere near the results that they got as well. So tune in, enjoy, and take some notes on this one. Welcome, guys, to the show. I got two amazing guests that flew in from Phoenix, Arizona. Two young hustlers, two Middle Eastern guys. One swole, one like almost swole, but like probably was swole at one point. Don't take that personally, bro. You know, I got Mr. Ahmad and Mr. Akram, both Palestinian guys from the Middle East. These guys. We kind of met over social media through e-com, through a group, and saw what they were doing. They saw what I was doing. We said, let's connect. And these guys literally booked a flight overnight, flew in from Phoenix. So like, mad respect to you guys. We've had the pleasure of spending a half day together so far. So I've got to know you, your business a little bit more, and, outstanding characters outside of all the, physical accomplishments that you've done and monetary accomplishments, which we'll get into. For the people listening on the show, because, they like money for some reason. So before we get into that, though, I just want to jump into backgrounds about you two. I know you've known each other for 15 years, but let's go back to where were your parents from? Like, how did that shape you as who you are? And then what did kind of life look like in the U.S.? Where did you travel to? Just to kind of get an idea of like what created the character that you are today, because I think that's really important. So you want to go ahead and start, and then we'll get to Ahmad?
For sure. So I was born in Detroit. Michigan area. And my parents, they were kicked out of Palestine when they were very young, around the age of 12 years old. My grandparents. And then my parents were born in Syria. And so they moved to the United States when they were in their early 20s. And so they worked very hard to build a future for themselves and for their children. And so
they moved to Michigan?
They moved to Michigan, yeah, straight from Syria. And so growing up, I always did see them work very hard throughout their different degrees and throughout multiple different jobs. And then my father starting his own business so that he can provide for his children. And his business ended up being very successful. He started his first business around 40 years old. And then around 2006, the business started to really tumble based on the economy. And so there was a period of time where there was a lot of stress within the family, and we had to move to Arizona, and he had to pull out his master's degree in civil engineering and get a job over here. Within a year of him having that job, he got laid off, and then he had to start kind of all over again.
How old were you?
I was about 12, 13 years old.
Okay.
And so there were a lot of different moments where I would see him working very late into the night. And so growing up in that kind of environment where I've seen my dad and my mom work very hard endlessly to provide a future for their children, I think that's what instilled, number one, just being around an entrepreneur-based family, and then also a very hardworking, resilient family to provide for themselves and for their children. And so I feel like that's a part of the reason why I'm able to also work very hard and to not take things for granted. I've seen us have a lot, and then I've also seen us have nothing. And then I've seen my dad be resilient. And so I think that's probably where it comes from for me.
Cool. But like, So you kind of ran through that story in like 25 seconds. So dad, Detroit, Detroit. Then you moved to Phoenix. You were like 12 when that happened.
Yeah.
So you've been in Phoenix for 15 years now?
About, yeah.
Okay, cool. So 27 for reference for everyone listening. What did you do before what you did now? Like, did you ever do something in high school? Did you work a job? Like, what did that process look like? Did you go to college?
So I got my undergrad degree in business management with us specializing in entrepreneurship. I graduated from Arizona State University 2015. And then I worked within my dad's real estate development company where he did fix and flip. And I got my real estate license at the age of 18, worked with him for about 4 years. I was able to sell about 75 properties, putting me in the top 2% of real estate sales within Arizona. And then a few years later, I decided to start my own business. Prior to Nominal, I did a business called Kufi Artist where I sold Arabic calligraphy wall art. I did that for about a year. It proved to be very difficult, but I loved the e-com space. But I decided to start that business so that I can, I just really loved the Arabic language. And I wanted to create a brand around it. And my wife and I were discussing what is it that we're so passionate about. And we both love accessories. We both love fashion style. So we decided let's go ahead and create or take our love for fashion and accessories and turn a brand.
Turn the Arabic love into a brand.
Yeah, turn the love for the Arabic language into a brand that is now Nominal.
And you guys started that not selling e-commerce, right?
So we did start right away in January of 2018 e-commerce for the jewelry brand. Prior to that, Kufi Artist was the Arabic calligraphy wall art brand that was also e-commerce, but I did do a lot of pop-up shops within Arizona. And so there was a balance between pop-up shops and e-commerce where I got into that space. And so it was the first introduction that I had. Prior to that, I did sell a lot of hats and things like that on Amazon and eBay. That's back when I was in high school. So my mom would drop me off at the post office prior to school before I even had my license and after school, and I would pack just hats and then just sell them. They ended up being counterfeit hats, which I wasn't even aware of, and so I ended up getting banned from those two platforms. But I did have a lot of e-commerce experience all the way from before I even had my license at the age of 15. I did have a few jobs that weren't just side hustles. I was a personal trainer at one point. I worked at IHOP as a host and as a waiter when I was 16 years old. Worked at Lifetime Fitness front desk.
Hey.
Yes.
Lifetime fan, baby.
Where else did I work? I worked at Yelp Sales Center just for 48 hours before I quit. That's right when I started grad school.
Shout out to Yelp. You made him realize that he never wanted to work under anybody ever again.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, it was a pretty quick realization where I just knew that it wasn't going to work for me. I mean, I had my full-time job being Yelp from 8 to 5, and then I had my MBA class. It was an evening program from 6 to 10 p.m. So it was just really exhausting, and I realized very quickly this wasn't going to work for me. So it did put me into a situation where it forced me to think way outside the box and realize that, I got to figure something out for myself because this is not going to be it. And this was only a few months prior to then starting Nominal, which is now, my full-time job, Ahmed's full-time job, and about 19 other individuals.
Sick. So 2 questions, and then I'll jump over to Ahmad, and we'll get a little background on him as well. One, short answer, and we'll get into it later. That's why I say short. College, good investment, yes or no?
I would say,
I'm
only hesitant to answer this. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. I don't regret it.
I'm not saying if you regret it. I'm just saying.
I would say
positive yes. ROI on the 6 years you spent?
Yes.
Okay.
I did 5 years. I did 3 years undergrad and 2 years grad school.
Okay. We'll dive into that after. I'm interested. And 2, just for reference to people here, because they're like, oh, Nominal, like, oh, these guys, e-com, whatever. Like, can you share what like your biggest weekend of sales was, just so people have a perspective of like what you guys have created?
The biggest weekend of sales we had was just barely breaking 7 figures within one weekend.
Within one weekend. Most people look to make that in a decade. So mad respect. So,
Thank you very much. We have a great team.
Yeah, I know. And you get a, great guy sitting next to you too. So tell me about yourself, bro. What's your background? How did you guys meet each other? Because I know that's been a long time too. We talked about that a little bit today. And, what do you do now, and how does that tie into the business and just all of it?
Yeah, I think I had a little bit less of a back and forth upbringing than Akram. Mine was kind of a little cookie cutter. My parents were both born in Palestine, and they lived a lot of their lives in Jordan. They got married, and they moved to New York when my dad was like probably 30. My mom was like 22. They built a life there, and then they eventually moved to Arizona, and that's where I was born and raised in the desert. And yeah, I grew up in Arizona. I met up with Akram in 7th grade through Islamic school. We met virtually through Runescape.
Yes, my guys.
Exactly.
Let's go.
We were merchants, so we were buying and selling.
Dude, same. That's why I became a businessman,
exactly,
bro.
We learned how to type.
Exactly.
And I scammed so many people on that game.
Yeah, you probably made people like me cry before. But yeah, I met Akram through Runescape virtually, and then he, I went to the same Islamic school that he did. And we kind of just linked from there, to be honest, and that's where our friendship began, and that's kind of where it flourished.
Question though,
yes,
you
go
met in RuneScape?
So I guess the quick story is that my best friend bought Akram's RuneScape account and then gifted it to me. So then when I went to a fundraiser and I saw Akram there, my friend nudged me and he was like, "Hey, that's the owner of the account that you use." And I was like, "That's him." And I felt like I was meeting a celebrity. And so I went.
What was the username?
Goblin135.
Hey.
And so I introduced myself, and then
I probably killed you a few times.
a few months after that instance, Akram came back to the Islamic school that he used to go to, and then I was there at that point, and me and him had been friends ever since. And then I went into ASU in 2013. I studied creative writing with a minor in film and media studies, and I did that for a full 4 years. Got my bachelor's, and then in terms of work,
Positive ROI?
only because I didn't have to pay for it.
Okay.
Yes, that's my answer. I got a scholarship.
Okay. But
So
you still paid for it with time.
that's true, and I loved it. Yes, so positive ROI if we're talking about time, definitely.
Cool.
I don't think it's for everybody, so that's my disclaimer. We'll keep the answer short because I know you said we'll discuss it later, but positive ROI for me and what my life looked like at that time. Right after college, like most English majors do, I worked at a coffee shop for 2 years. And during that stint is when I joined Nominal. So in January of 2019, I joined Nominal and I juggled it with Dutch Bros.
So that's a year after it was founded.
Correct. Yep.
Cool.
Right on the 1 year anniversary was essentially my starting
The
date.
22nd?
Correct. January 22nd of 2019, we got the keys to the new office, and that was essentially my start of part-time employment with Nominal. So I juggled Nominal and Dutch Bros together for about 3 or 4 months, and then right around mid-April, I left Dutch Bros to pursue Nominal full-time.
Nice. Haven't looked back since, right?
Exactly.
That's sick, man. Well, first of all, impressive what you guys have done in 3 years as a company. Most people spend 10 years trying to achieve that and still can't kind of figure it out. So since we're talking on the college thing, you guys had 2 completely different college paths. I'm very similar to you. I went to State University. I marketing major, but I didn't do 5 years. I did 4. I just did my bachelor's. And first of all, how the fuck did you finish in 3?
So the high school that we went to, Arizona Cultural Academy.
AP classes and stuff?
Yeah, they had, what did they call it?
Dual enrollment, so
enrollment.
things
I
would
know what you're talking
carry
about, yeah.
over as college credits. Yep.
Yeah, I was able to graduate high school with an associate's degree, and so I was able to shave off certain classes like English 101 and some BS classes. I think it was CIS 101 or CSI, something like that, some computer courses. So that's why I was able to graduate within 3 years.
So why do you think it was a positive ROI?
So I decided to do, I guess, do we want to think about undergrad and grad school combined, or just one or the other?
You can separate them if you want. You could say like undergrad was worth it, master's was definitely not worth it. Example.
Okay, I would say for me it's probably the opposite, where I think I actually didn't learn just about anything in undergrad. Like I don't look back to any of those moments for any of what I know today and any that I've implemented within the business today. So I think that was kind of a waste, but I do think that I didn't invest that much of myself into undergrad. I worked a lot of undergrad, and even whenever I was in class, because I was a real estate agent at the time helping within my dad's business, I was always responding to different agents, asking about properties, working on contracts, things like that, negotiating deals, taking phone calls. I did miss a lot of classes. So I feel like I ended up getting a lot of work experience during undergrad. So I wouldn't say it's a waste of 3 years. But
wouldn't you have gotten that same work experience not going to school?
Yes. Yeah. So I think undergrad was a waste. Grad school, I think was good for me because it did mainly the supply chain courses. So I'll say actually not all of grad school, but certain courses, certain topics of discussion, I think did open up my eyes. For example, the first time that I ever heard about anything third-party logistics related was within my supply chain courses. And so I'm a big believer that anything can be found on the internet, YouTube, Google, whatever it may be. However, I feel that one thing school is able to provide you with is sometimes you don't even know what to look for or what to expand your research on. So it introduced topics to me that I then deeply researched after, and certain things that I didn't realize were going to be beneficial to me. When I actually started going through the business, I would remember something that I learned and then start to dive deeper and begin to implement it. But I think it introduced me to a lot of important topics that I don't know when I would have been introduced to.
Do you buy any like courses online and stuff like that?
Not so much, no.
Okay.
No, but I do spend a lot of time just on Google and YouTube these days.
Okay. Which, if you know what you're looking for, you can find a lot, like you said. This is why I'm a big believer in courses. I always say this. I spend so much money on online courses because you don't know what you don't know. So like, how am I even going to know what to look for? Definitely. If I'd rather someone who's structured tell me a structured way to look for it, and then I can go expand my knowledge to the next level after that. So that's very interesting because for me, and you work through college, but you got a scholarship, so you probably didn't work, right?
I did. I worked at T-Mobile my first 2 years of college, and then I also worked as a wedding photographer. I traveled. I filmed weddings all around the U.S. With my brother's company as well.
Okay,
so
cool.
I didn't have a structured job other than T-Mobile, but I was always working.
Okay, and that was for your own personal income, right?
Correct.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I was different. I went to college. I never worked a job during college, but I worked with my family. So I expanded their businesses. My father's current business of 8 years was actually my business plan that I wrote for my senior thesis in marketing.
Nice.
Which I aced, and now, is a 7-figure-a-year company. So good for them.
Sweet.
But that being said, I didn't actually have a structured job, and I took a different approach than I feel you guys did in college. So what I did was I was like, I think it dawned on me day one when I walked into orientation. I was the last orientation because I was in Lebanon all summer, and I came back the last possible day that I could. And I walked into the cafeteria and I saw thousands. For reference, how big were you? ASU is pretty big, probably, right?
ASU is the biggest college in the U.S. apparently.
Really?
At least area.
How many students?
Surface area wise, I think it was
surface area.
70,000 students.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Is that growing by 5 to 10 per year? So I think it's actually right now around 80 something.
Is that master's degree and undergrad?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So our undergrad was this is in 2011, right? Our undergrad was $50K, and our master's and post whatever everything post undergrad was probably 25.
Yeah, probably super similar then.
So very similar. I went to UGA, University of Georgia.
Definitely.
So it's Alabama, you know what I mean? Those
Yep.
kind of universities. So anyways, it clicked in my head. I was and remember at this point I haven't had classes, so I'm not ready. I don't know what I'm going to learn. I could learn everything. I could learn nothing, it's still day one.
Right.
But it clicked in my head. I was the biggest opportunity is the people here. So I actually, day one, this is pretty cool. Day one, I went through 9 floors in my dorm of probably 30 doors a floor at least. And I knocked on every door and introduced myself. Nice. Day one. We didn't even start school yet.
Social.
Right? I was this is the game I have to play here. Yeah. And here's what it was for me too, is it was realization after realization. So realization 1 was I got a network. Realization 2, after I knocked on 9 floors, I went to my room. I was I'm actually whoever the fuck I want to be right now, because
start over.
No one knows who I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was it clicked in my head. I'm everything in high school that people hated or loved or whatever it was, the perception people have, no one knows anything about me. They just know this is what I look like.
Yeah.
And that's it.
You're starting from scratch.
So I can do whatever I want. So I can be whoever I want. I was I'm going to play my cards right for 4 years. So Then first semester, so first 4-month period of school, whatever it is, August to December, I never had a meal with the same person in the entire semester.
Nice.
So I would, dude, I'm telling you, you would have no idea how awkward this is. Imagine 6 a.m. for class. There's a cafeteria and there's like one dude sitting and there's 400 tables. And I walk up to his table. And I'm like, hey, you mind if I sit down with you? And they just look around every time like, you're fucking kidding me, bro.
I would talk about someone like you. Like I would go back home to my friends or to my family and be like, I was just eating breakfast peacefully and I was so excited to just kind of like meditate to myself that morning. And then a random guy came to me and asked if he could sit next to me. What the heck?
100%, right? Weird as shit. And like it was an awkward conversation every time, but I did it. I sat down,
Respect it.
But after a year, everyone knew me. Everyone. And it wasn't in a bad way. Like it's awkward in a first instance, right? Like this guy sat down, but then like as you find out, your friends know who he is too, and these people, you're like, I guess maybe he's not a weird guy.
Right.
It was just a weird scenario that we met. You know what I mean? And so that was a positive ROI for me on college. I didn't learn shit. Think about it. I got into social media marketing, and at the time I was in college doing my own ads. There wasn't a single YouTube video or a Google article on how to do ads. So these things like didn't exist, let alone the school system teaching me what social media ads are or influencer marketing or any of these things. You know what I mean? Like they didn't exist. They were teaching me how to market via television and radio. And, it was just like, there was no value to my degree at all, honestly. And so from a monetary value, my parents paid for it all. I had a 90% scholarship. That's what Georgia does. If you have a certain GPA, they give you 90% of all your stuff paid. So
nice.
They paid for my housing. But in fairness, I worked with the family and helped them make money, right? And that's how they covered me, was like, hey, go do your thing in college. Just don't spend a boatload of money.
Right.
I say all that to say, it's cool to see the perspectives of ROI. You say yes because of education, right? From your master's?
I would say yes because it opened my mind. I don't think I was so deeply educated in any specific area, but I think it opened my mind and it made me more curious. Okay. So that's my answer.
So for me, it made me more closed-minded, weirdly enough.
I can relate to that for sure.
Why?
So I wrote a novel before college, and I felt like my mind was so open, and I was so excited to be a writer. And once I got in college, it felt like it gave me so much structure, it boxed me in. And I didn't work on a novel for so long. And so when I had told people, when I got into my expertise, like writing classes towards my junior year, when I told them that I had written a novel, none of them had done the same. And I was like, how am I in a writing degree, in a specific writing class, and most of you want to be published authors, and I'm the only one that wrote a book, and I did it before college.
Yeah.
And I felt like they experienced what I experienced, but I got lucky because I wrote my book before I got here.
Yeah.
So they're all like, oh my God, you already wrote a book. Are you published? What was the process like? And I'm like, you're 21. You're at the end of your writing degree. How have you not pursued this yet?
Yeah.
And I think they suffered from what you just said, where college does kind of box you in. And I think this might apply maybe to people who are pursuing like creative degrees, I guess. I can see, I know you also studied business as well, but I can see it in a lot of arts majors where they feel like I just took my hobby and I just got boxed into a rubric, and so it wasn't until that realization I went during my junior year of college and I wrote my second novel because I was like actively looking for a way to break past this boxed structure.
Yeah.
Like when I had come to that realization that like, damn, I think I just spent the last 3 years trying to figure out how to become a writer instead of like being a writer. So my junior year, I was like, I'm going to be a writer again, just to prove it to myself, you know? And I wrote my second novel. And so I think you're totally right. For a lot of people, college can, in many ways, definitely teach you which doors are worth opening and which avenues are worth pursuing in terms of knowledge, and teach you what you don't know that you don't know. But for a lot of creative people, it might box them in and make them forget that there's this whole world that you can explore, but instead we're going to teach you about Jane Austen literature.
Yeah. Did you guys ever go to like career fairs and stuff in college?
During college, never.
Okay, cool.
No.
So I did, just to see, and so, well, this I guess segues into a different topic, so we can kind of just talk about both at the same time. But I believe that if your family had to immigrate, not was born in the U.S., but was an immigrant, if your family had to immigrate into the U.S., then you have a different level of work ethic and I'm just taking on an average, you know, I'm not,
I agree.
you know, there's people that here that work harder than us, whatever. Like, you know, but because of that, I always grew up, you know, never seeing my dad wear a suit to a corporate job, for example, in my case. So my dad came, long story short, started flooring company, started installing, did high quality work, started getting asked by Home Depot, Lowe's to do big projects on hotels. Business blew up, took the money, saved it all, built a water park in the Middle East, ran that and a flooring company here that was super successful. And I worked with him the whole way, right? Whether it was in the summer, we'd go. And I remember I'd work on a Lebanese salary as a kid, like $300 a month. I'm like, I'll take it. $300 a month full time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was just like more into like finding a way to make money through my dad and contributing to the business. And so I say all that to say I never like in my head was like, oh, I want to work for Geico. You know what I mean? Or I want to work for Coca-Cola or the Big Five, or that was like never a thing. And so going into college, that became a thing that everyone started convincing me that that's what's cool. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm going to go work for this big firm. You know what I mean? Where it's like $40K a year starting and I'm going to get to this point eventually. And like, that's what when I say like it closed my mind a little bit, that's what it was, because, you know, I'm surrounding myself with ambitious people who are, you know, trying to start their own ideas because we're in college and we have that kind of freedom of time to do that. But at the same time, it's like everyone's like sitting here applying to these jobs, and as much as I was pushed to, it was so foreign to me. I wasn't like a rebel or anything. I was just like, why would I apply for this job? I thought I'm just going to go find a way to make money after college. I thought this is the point. You're going to teach me stuff. I'm going to go, this is business. True. Yeah. And I'm going to go try to start a business. You know what I mean? And so, so for me, it kind of closed my mind, but I think it helped that my family was foreign, because it allowed me to see, like, this is kind of what I go back to. Your dad moved here when he was 20?
About, yeah.
Okay. So he didn't probably know English.
Nope, no English, and his first job was a librarian.
Exactly. Wow. Okay. Well, that goes kind of against what I was, not really. What I was going to say is, like, because of that, he can't go work a corporate job.
Mm-hmm. True.
You know what I mean? Like, I would never hire your dad if he didn't speak English. You get what I'm saying? So, like, and I'm not even corporate. Like, corporate's like another level. And so they kind of had their own restricted opportunity to make things happen. And so they had to find ways to make it happen with a language barrier. And so, like, that's why just growing up, I just didn't have that. And so going to college kind of then enclosed me into the possibility of like this. And so last thing, we'll go back into college, but like, cool story. I wanted to see like how much of the system you can work with words. So I always believe if you can speak well and you can communicate with people and you can like sell and you can just have good conversations, that you can win in most environments, even if the rules are written that you're not allowed to win. Like, example, I was in an accounting class. A guy came in, the #1 internship in the country, all this stuff. He gave us a huge pitch. This was like the highest level accounting class, or the hardest accounting class, not the highest level. And he said, if you have a 3.75 GPA, you know, you can apply for this program. And so they passed little pieces of paper around the auditorium. It was like 300 of us. And so I remember so clearly, I was like, I wrote my name, all this stuff, and I put 3.15. And I submitted it. And he gave me a call, like, I don't know, like a week later. Hey, man, I saw your application. It says here 3.15, minimum requirements like 3.75. Like, why'd you even apply? Like, you basically tell me, like, you have no chance. And I was like, I'm sure if I sat down in front of you and had a conversation that you would not look at the GPA numbers anymore, and you would probably want to hire me over everyone else. Like, just pure confidence, right? So we ended up talking on the phone 5-10 minutes. He's like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to call you in for an interview. And so he called me in for an interview. It was a 3-person interview. I've never seen this before, by the way, because they had to like bulk cycle through people, right? So it was like 3 at a time. Like, all of us are interviewing with this one person. And I forgot how that went, but, you know, again, carried myself well. These 2 people had 3.95s and a 4.0, and I had a my real GPA was like a 3.3 or something like that. So he's like, oh, you're already kind of at a disadvantage. Anyways, I won that interview. They moved on to the next one, and the last interview was me getting to interview him. And it was like 6 interview process, by the way. This is like actually the best internship. Like, you earn like $50,000 in the summer.
Oh, wow.
Working. Like, it's actually nuts. It's like a mini entrepreneurship thing. They tell you to pick a city, you do geographical targeting, they fund all your marketing, you don't have to pay it back, and you're basically setting up a business within an area. It was actually a really cool idea. The downside was you have to miss all summer, and you have to work weekends from January to the summer to build up the marketing and the business. So I was like, not about it, not gonna happen. I'm going to Lebanon. Fuck this. But I wanted to prove it to myself. Last interview, I got to interview him. I asked him questions he said he's never been asked in his life in this whole process of recruiting. They offered me the job. I declined it. But like it
so petty.
But no, it wasn't petty. It was the whole point from the beginning was to see like, if I wanted to play this game that everyone else is trying to play, can I make it?
Right.
And I was like, oh, dude, I can. Like, this GPA actually doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If I actually have a conversation with someone, like as a logical business owner, they'll hire me. And then so that was like my point of like, okay, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like Definitely. That, like it kind of clicked in my head. I was like, all these rules and all these career fairs and all these things that everyone's playing by is like limiting everyone else. And if I don't play by these rules and I don't give a fuck, then I'll get what I want. Yeah, it's just a matter of enough opportunities and time. So, but that's because of my dad, like what he had to go through, watching him do all these things, risking all these things, like, you know, my mom helping him at work, like these corporate things just never made sense to me. So it's very interesting to see you two come from similar backgrounds of like parents immigrating and kind of seeing how hard you've worked. You guys worked so many jobs. It sounded like you worked like 4 jobs during college.
I think four or five.
Yeah,
from high school to college.
Yeah, I mean during college I just had T-Mobile wedding photography. Dutch Bros was right after college. I worked at a cologne store during high school, and then Nominal. So I guess 5.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about Nominal. So 3 years, you guys are doing basic custom-made jewelry for the Arabic community, and now it's kind of expanded into everything. Was there like a specific product that you guys started with that was like the boom?
The very first product was actually our custom name necklace.
Okay.
And so that was a piece that we were working on even prior to Nominal within the last Arabic calligraphy wall art business that my wife and I were working on, which was called Kufi Artist. But in the transition from that wall art business to jewelry, it was actually a recommendation from a friend. Her name is Filson, and she said, why don't you guys try, like, I don't know, getting into the Arabic jewelry business? And so that kind of triggered the idea, and we decided let's sell jewelry that kind of like matches the wall art. And then it started to sell so much better than we thought it would. And we're like, you know, maybe this should actually be its own brand. And we were only thinking that because Kufi Artist, you know, doesn't really sound like a brand name anyone would want to wear, represent. And we also like, it's been a goal to be within department stores as well. We're like, Kufi Artist just does not sound like a brand that a department store like Macy's or Nordstrom or something like that is going to hold. And so then we started to think, what is the aesthetic of this brand? And we knew that we wanted it to be minimal. So then we were just looking for synonyms for minimal, simple, similar words to that. And then we came across the word nominal. And so we started there, and that's how we got started. And we thought, you know, what do we want to be known for? Not just Arabic jewelry, but, you know, we'd love to be able to allow individuals, especially minorities, that typically want to represent their culture, their blood, their religion, family, anything that they know makes them special. How can they express themselves and be proud of it, and also start conversation and build bridges between different types of people? And so that's how we started Nominal, you know, minimal jewelry, and then also cultural jewelry, and, you know, something that allows you to be proud of yourself.
And you jumped on a year in, right? But since your real growth has come from that time, right? Like 2019 through now?
I would say 2019 is when we really grew. That's when we got our first office, hired our first few members of the team. Ahmed was the first full-timer. A few months after that, he's a legend, you know, so he got right into customer service, order fulfillment. And so Ahmed's done just about every single role within the company to date. So I think between the entire team, it's us two that have done, like, we've put our feet into every single department. But yeah, first full-time hire, and then we hired 2 or 3 more that year. But that was our big growth year. Yeah, we did about 5 times the previous year.
Sick. So that all being said, now that kind of everyone has a background, knows who you are, something important I want to talk about, we've kind of picked at it today a bit. So most people from the outside, and, you know, forgive me if I'm stepping over the line here. You can tell me to shut up. Most people, you know, from the outside would kill to be in you guys' positions, running a company like this. Look at the success you've had. You did 7 figures in a weekend. Like, most people look at that and they're like, damn, like I want that. But behind the scenes, it's way harder and way more stressful. And, there's way more problems, whether it's financial, personal, relationship, physical. There's so much that it takes that you have to give up and make mistakes on in order to kind of even achieve what you have. And even then, you guys haven't really scraped the surface, even from what we've talked today. Like,
right.
It's not even close. And you guys are doing so many things right, but also you're doing so many things wrong and not realizing, right? And so tell me about the first time. We kind of talked about this today. You guys ran a sale, right? 2 years ago, right? Was it two?
May 1st, 2020.
Last year.
Yep.
Yeah. Last year you ran your first big sale, and it was the first 7-figure weekend you had, right?
Yep.
What happened there?
So it was the COVID year. It was just a few months after COVID, and we didn't really know what to expect. We didn't know if it was going to be a bust because of COVID. We didn't know, and nobody had realized, too, that e-commerce was about to boom. So we had certain expectations set. We did our best to kind of prepare for it. We had our forecasts. And so, we ran the sale, and this guy, he knows how to storytell. He knows how to create a lot of hype. Sometimes
Creative writer.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. He's very dramatic, and he loves movies as well and film, and he loves to study film. And
I just want to say that's the best skill set in the online marketing space.
Thank you.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it were just me, I wouldn't have thought to let's shut the website down 24 hours prior. Let's advertise us shutting the website down.
Oh,
and say
this
that it's
goes
only
deep.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about this. So let's talk about what you did, but also what your expectations were before you tell me the number.
Okay.
So what was the game plan here?
So the game plan for what our expectations were, or how we're going to execute the sale.
How you're going to execute the sale and what you guys thought was going to come out of it.
So we didn't even really have any expectations beyond it being, we knew it was going to be 6 figures, but we thought maybe just multiple 6 figures. We'll be able to handle it. We already discussed scheduling, who's going to work when, how are we going to execute this? Did we do a full inventory recount? Etc. We tried to think about everything. We were working with our ad agency and provided him with as much new content as possible. And so the way that we decided to execute it is, let's create a lot of hype. Let's not just announce the sale when the sale is live. Let's start the hype 10 days prior. So 10 days prior, not only do we tell them that we have a huge sale coming, or actually, you know what, let's go all the way to 11 days prior. So at that 11-day mark, we say tomorrow we have a huge announcement. So without even telling them what it is. Then once we're at the 10-day mark, then we let them know we have a huge sale, biggest sale that we've ever done in our entire lives. Not only that, but we're also launching 30 new items. And so that's what we always did for our big sales. It's a huge sale, and then new items at the same time. So now you get 2 different types of shoppers. You get the people that want something new, maybe the return customers, or someone that's never purchased and didn't like what we've always had, but maybe now they can finally give us a chance, or those that do like our products, but they just want a discount. So now we get, this huge audience. And so every single day we'll announce 1 to 3 different items that we're going to be launching. And then we just keep making those posts day after day. And then finally we get to the 9-day mark. And so then we say we need to shut the website down because of all the work and effort that goes into preparing the website and dropping all the prices and kind of telling this whole story. We're going to have to drop all the prices for all the items. We're shutting the website down. Anybody goes to nominalx.com, it takes them to a black page with a countdown. It says 24 hours left, 23 hours left, 22 hours left.
You animals.
And
you animals, dude.
And then we collect a lot of emails through that as well. So it goes into a specific list so that we can let them know right when the website is live. And of course, we work on email campaigns throughout the 10 days of hype. And so we try to advertise it in every single way possible. Sale goes live, and within...
Wait, how'd it go live, first of all? What did you do to go live? Because you guys are very influencer heavy too. Were there influencers involved in this?
Yes.
What were the sources of traffic here?
So we have all the ad content that we've been filming, which is videos, photos, telling people what the percentage off is, sneak peeks at the new items, sneak peeks at the prices they can expect, how their favorite $50 necklace is $30 for the first time ever. So we sneak peek all that stuff from an ad sense, and then we have probably 100 plus influencers ready to post that they, that Nominal is the jewelry brand. The jewelry
At
brand.
the same time.
everything happens at once. And of course, we have people ready. Let's say we go live on a Thursday. We also have influencers scheduled for Friday and scheduled for Saturday. As the natural traffic dies down, we have influencers ready to push those sales right back up. And then, of course, you have your email marketing. We didn't have SMS and app marketing at the time, but that's what we do now.
How much time did this take, by the way, to plan? Like, this is a lot.
Months. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We typically
I just want people to know that.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, Black Friday of 2019. I mean, as soon as December rolled around and Q4 started to cool down a little bit, we immediately started discussing like Eid can be bigger than this, and it will be, but we need to be ready for that. So we set a goal to double Black Friday. And this is only 5 months after Black Friday. It's not like the brand has grown over the course of a year. We're just 150 days out of Black Friday. And Akram waltzes into my office and goes, "We're going to double Black Friday." And I was like, "You're nuts." Like, that's ridiculous. Like, the brand is very similar to what it was 5 months ago. So why would we double it? You know, like, the following is growing. We have more products, but double is anarchy. Like, that's ridiculous, because Black Friday really pushed our envelope.
He's a psychopath.
Too. Yeah, 100%. And I love him.
You have
for
to
that.
be.
You do have to be.
You have to be illogical.
Definitely.
100%. Yeah.
And so when he presented the goal to double Black Friday, my head was spinning, and I was just like, I just don't know how that's really a feasible goal right now in the brand. But we'll set that as the goal. You know, shoot for the whatever, land on the whatever. You know.
Yeah. So you know the Fox quote, jumping over a rock.
Shoot for the moon, land on the stars.
There you
Something.
go.
Shoot for the stars, land on the moon.
No way you don't know this one.
And so that was our goal going into that May 1st sale, knowing that it has the potential to exceed Black Friday, and we want to double it, but we need to do that really, really consciously.
Yeah. I mean, planning's a big part of this for sure.
Huge. It's everything.
It's funny because as a marketing company, we see everything, and like we see people literally try to plan something like this and give it to us like 4 days before.
Yeah. No.
I'm like, homie.
Sounds like us.
Homie. You know what I mean? And we deliver, but it takes a ridiculous amount of like dropping other things to make it, you know what I mean? Like, so it's cool to hear you guys say months of planning and figuring out and how we're going to do it, because I'll never forget one time, Black Friday, this is like before I had a company, it was just me. I had clients and my wife, thank you, babe, at the time, just a girlfriend. So she was in town for Thanksgiving. I'll never forget this. And I was telling this guy with the e-commerce brand that I did the marketing for, I was like, listen, man, like, for a month and a half before Black Friday, I'm like, we need the game plan. Like, what's the game plan? Like, what are we doing? What and huge store, by the way, like a general store, like has toys, has this, like has everything, makeup, like just he's a vendor and he's kind of like a middleman of everything. And he didn't know. And then literally Wednesday night, he sends me a message and he goes, here's what we're going to discount on everything, on each category. Fitness this much, toys this much. And I was like, dude, like, come on, bro. We got nothing. And my girlfriend sat on my bed and I sat on my desk in my bedroom, and we created on Canva like 100 ads for this guy. Managed to pump out a Black Friday campaign. I posted a screenshot actually on my Instagram like a week ago. And it was like a 38 ROAS or something like that.
Nice. On
like 40K ad spend that weekend with a 600 something K return.
Wow.
It was just stupid. I was like, fuck everyone. but if like he actually planned it, we probably actually would have dumped 7 figures that weekend.
True.
But it's important to know, just like planning is actually so many people think these things just like happen overnight. Like, oh, look what they did, bro. Like this takes a whole team to do this. Like finding that many influencers and coordinating it, and like, let alone everything else. So
we have an iconic team, to be honest. Ones that treat the business like their own, and all the credit goes to them, to be honest. Every time this happens and every time we execute it and every time the Nominal family loves what happens, all the credit goes to them. Like, they are the ones behind the scenes making it possible from every avenue, from the influencers to the marketing to the digital content to the social media to the customer service, the order fulfillment. It's ridiculous.
That's amazing. And so you executed this plan.
What
a little too well, I think.
Yeah. We executed the plan, and the results were better than, to be honest, we even wanted them to be. And I know that sounds so absurd. People are probably thinking, why would you not want more sales? But really, it exceeded our capacity big time. We ended up being able to fulfill all the orders, but we overpromised and underdelivered. It was a very time-sensitive sale as well. It wasn't just any random sale, but it was a Eid sale. So we had a holiday coming up. Everybody was purchasing so that they can have gifts for their loved ones, and so it needs to arrive by a certain date. We had about how many orders? We had about 11,000 orders.
Yeah. So here's what happened. Black Friday 2019, X amount of orders. And so when Akram waltzes into my office and says we want to do double that, I was like, okay, so, the sale is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, plus we do a Monday extension. So that means we have to reach Black Friday, which was also a Friday to Monday weekend, essentially, or Thursday to Monday, maybe. So we need to reach that Black Friday order count by like Saturday. That way, Sunday and Monday can create a second half, and then we successfully doubled our goal. So we have 2 days to hit Black Friday's 4-day revenue.
Yeah.
So when we go live at 12 p.m. on May 1st, me and Akram, we're sitting down and we're looking at the laptop, and we're not really analyzing necessarily the sales and the traffic to see what's going on the website, but we're monitoring the Instagram comments. We're testing the website. We're making sure all the items are discounted. We're doing we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's.
Yeah.
Next
you
thing
love your like white ass quotes.
I do. I really, really do. Yeah,
He's a writer.
You're right.
That's the box that
I
ASU
forgot.
put me in.
He makes all the captions. He creates all the hype. Yeah, no, he's the verbal guy.
And so 12:44 p.m. comes along, and I was like, I wonder how the sale's doing. So we go to the analytics dashboard, and we had just matched Black Friday.
Holy shit.
And I said,
stop, bro. I would be sweating. I'd be like, turn the site off again now.
Literally, that's what Akram said. He's like, we can't turn the website off. But in 44 minutes, we just did what we thought we would do in 44 hours. And we're not going to be able to do this. We only have 5 people on the team. We have people coming to help us ship the orders. That's not a problem. But the customer service, the website, I don't even know if we counted enough inventory. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
So we were like, we have another 3 days
This
and
is
23
nuts.
hours and 16 minutes left of this. You know what I mean? So we don't know what's going on. So he closed his laptop and we got right to it. And
Gotta get started.
That's where the nightmare began, to be honest. Once we realized that
You guys didn't even look at the numbers anymore. You're like,
No.
fuck it. Put your head down and start boxing shit up and sending it.
Literally. That's exactly what happened. And I think it like Akram said, this was, when you skip to the end of the story, you realize that this really was a make or break moment for the company. And I think a lot of companies break from this moment. Where they have so much inventory and so much marketing, and they pushed all these discounts, and they know that they have their branding on point, and now you can get all their items at a discount that they've never done before. They're launching 30, 40, 50 brand new designs that you can get also at a discount. So everything's discounted, including our popular custom name necklace, which is never on sale. Huge mistake, by the way. And so when that happened, we got put to the limit big time. And instead of catching up in about a week, which is typically what a sale should take to run through, it took us at least 3 or 4.
3 or 4 weeks of what, though? Everyone working 16-hour shifts.
Yeah, you have a team of like 6, 7, 8 people working from 9 a.m. to 4 a.m., going home from 4:30 just to catch sleep for like 4 or 5 hours, coming right back. The email inbox count number is staying the same. We have 4 people doing emails, and it just won't dip below 580. You're at 600 and you make a little bit of progress, and once you can answer 5 emails, 7 emails come back. You answer 5, 7 come back, and it truly felt like we were drowning in every sense.
Yeah, it was a disaster. I mean, it got to a point where we were getting so behind on emails that people were starting to leave us bad reviews. They were commenting on our posts saying that this is a scam. I sent an email, I sent a DM 4 days ago, no one's responding, nobody ordered. And then some of those comments would start to get likes, meaning people also feel the same way as them. And it created a lot of stress for us. And it's not like we have other things happening in our lives as well. So that put extra pressure on myself because my team is sacrificing so much. And especially during a holy month. It was the month of Ramadan, so we're fasting as well. And there's other things that we want to spend our time doing. You want to spend your time with your family, doing prayers, things like that. But nobody was able to do any of that. And so, each of us felt like we were getting pulled from all corners, where if we stop working, then the business catches on fire. And this is our livelihood. This is how we pay our bills, take care of our families, etc. And what we worked so hard for, we can't let it go. And then also getting pulled from like the social things in life. We also have our families that we need to attend to. My wife, I haven't been able to spend any time with her for weeks. She's so patient, understanding. I'm so grateful for her. And she came and helped us as much as she could as well, which was great. But like, there's so much that goes into it where it's not just solving everything that happens within the business, but you got your own life to take care of as well. We weren't sleeping. We were eating very poorly. But I mean,
no gym, right?
No gym, absolutely not. I was in the worst shape of my life, mentally, physically, and emotionally.
And it was during COVID. Everything was closed
during COVID. Yep.
You know what I mean? So even our gyms were closed in Arizona. A lot of a lot of things were just inaccessible at the time. So it was mentally exhausting. I think people were tired of lockdown at that time anyways. And so even from a social perspective, there was so much going on in that time. So I think that's the part of business people don't see. And that, I'm glad we survived is all I can say, to be honest.
Yeah, we made it. I mean, we made it. We only grew since, and we've learned a ton from that. We've gotten so much stronger. I'm grateful for it because it really put our back against the wall, because after that, we thought to ourselves, how can we make sure this never happens again?
Yeah.
What new systems do we have to put into place? What can we streamline? What steps can we remove from fulfillment? Because we didn't have our own third-party logistics company for our United States fulfillment. We set everything up ourselves.
And you still do, right? You still do all your fulfillment in the U.S.?
Within the United States, yes. And we've streamlined it like crazy right now. I'm sure there's still, of course, new efficiencies that we can implement, but it's 10 times faster right now than it was back in the day. Back in the day, we would take each necklace, it was inside of a little plastic bag. We would then put it on the card, then we would put a plastic wrap around it, then we would pouch it, and then we would ship it. Now everything comes pre-packed on a card with the plastic seal in a pouch with the barcode on the back that names the item. You don't even need to open it. So we've been able to like really streamline a lot of it so that we don't fall behind in fulfillment during a big sale. Customer service standpoint, we were only working through Gmail. We didn't even have a software like Gorgeous or Zendesk or anything like that. So it was literally like the same Gmail that any average high school student
Holy
uses.
shit.
And so when we're doing customer service too, we were all pretending to be one person because we had just one support at nominalx.com account. So it said Idam Hussein and we were all her. And then we didn't know how to organize how we're going to go about this if multiple people are working on it at the same time. So we're like, okay, Ahmad, you do emails 1 through 100, and then I'll click next so I could go to the next few pages. I'll do 200 to 300. And so we categorized it like that. It was so sloppy, but it really accelerated our growth because we just became a much more structured business after that.
You had no choice.
Oh, yeah. And the second the sale ended, Akram came into my office and he's like, we need to be off of Gmail immediately. Like, you need to find us another software because we can't do that again. We started running into each other, like into each other's emails because we were all on the same account. We would reply to the same customer like within the same minute. And I was like, what page are you on exactly? I thought we were on this page and this page. So it was so elementary. But I mean, we survived, and that's what caused what the brand is now.
Did you do more sales in that weekend than you did the last year before that?
Within 45 minutes, we beat all of 2018.
Fuck. That's nuts.
Within 45 minutes, we beat all of 2018. And by the end of the weekend, we did about 80% of all of 2019.
Yeah. So
within one weekend. So practically, it was insane.
That's wild, dude.
Yeah. And the team was 5 people. So it was a big problem to tackle for sure.
We were laughing about it the other day when May 1st came along. We're like, we should make this a nominal holiday so that we can all like have a moment of silence and just observe gratitude and just see how far we've come. We got to make this a holiday.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, here's the problem with that is you guys still had sales coming in after, right?
Oh,
it's not like the weekend ended. You're like, oh, okay, let's catch up to these sales.
Actually,
like,
record sales.
Once
after the sale.
So once the sale ended and everything went back to full price, we were really hoping that would be our chance to like surface and not drown anymore, you know? And so compared to the days leading up to the sale, and then the sale happened, and then the day right after the sale, we set a record day in company history for a non-sale related day. And then it happened again and again and again for 8 days straight. We set a record for how many orders were purchased on a non-sale day, and we couldn't catch a break. Because Eid was coming up. People need their gifts. It's a huge holiday in the Muslim community.
There's a timeline at the end of the day.
There's a timeline, and people are willing to spend whatever it is, so they didn't even care that we just had a sale. They were like, it's full price. I don't care. I'm here for my gifts. It's their Christmas, right? Like they need their gifts, and so
Eid is big on gifts. Like people do not short themselves on those.
Definitely.
They spend on Eid gifts.
You have lots of families to gift, and Nominal really does pride itself in being that reliable gift company. You know, you can find something that person would love. You can find something that's going to relate to that person. And on top of that, it's going to last. You know, you're not buying some tacky jewelry that says something cool and it's going to rust in a year. You know, so Yeah, right after the sale, exactly when we thought we would catch a break, it did the exact opposite, to be honest.
Yeah, and you guys just gifted us some jewelry, so thank you for that.
Of course.
Beautiful stuff, honestly. I know my wife got, overwhelmed. I got one. But
No, I got you, Eddie. Don't worry about it.
I know, seriously, though. The Lebanon necklace, too. Like, amazing. Like, that's something I would actually wear. Actually, most of my Lebanese friends, I feel like, have some sort of necklace, either with a cross, a moon, or the shape of Lebanon on it. What are those three things? So it's very definitely iconic. So that happened. Make or break. Make is what happened.
Yep.
Right now we're a year later. What kind of challenges are you guys running into now as a business? Because we're kind of talking about this today. Like this time last year, we were like 7 people too, and then now we're over 50 people. And so, I think what a lot of people don't realize is when you grow like that, a lot of people think you're just like getting rich. They're like, damn, look at all this money that the company's making. Damn, Eddie must be balling. Yeah. You know what I mean? Not at all the situation. And so you have to like reinvest a lot of profits. You have to like invest in growth, and not only that, but your responsibilities shift dramatically in the business. So it goes from maybe you doing things to you having to manage people, to you having to now do things and manage people, to now do things, manage people, make sure the numbers are good in the company, also make sure there's rules to the company, also make sure everyone gets what they want in the company, everyone's happy, and it just becomes this, what people don't realize is you're actually working a job plus running the company at the same time. It's not you're running the company at the same time. You're working a job full-time, overtime, and also having to run the company. So what kind of issues have you guys recently bumped into from like a growing pains perspective?
We started last year with 4 or 5 people, and we started this year with about 20. And so between those two, within just a period of 1 year, led to a lot of confusion, miscommunication, different expectations, people not seeing eye to eye, no policies and handbooks in place, not proper HR onboarding, not proper training, and things like that. Just a lot of infrastructure imbalances that we realized kind of over time. When you're just 4 people, it's impossible to miscommunicate. You're in such a small room. You're only 4 people. Any thought that crosses my mind is seen by Ahmad, Malik, Iram, the first few members of the team. But then we just continued to grow, and we were just always so busy with each sale that came about that we just never really took a step back and focused on the internal aspect of the business. Until things finally slowed down and we realized how weak the bones are of the company, and that it's not structured for this many people right now. So that was one of our biggest challenges. It wasn't so much the marketing, the growth, the vision, what needs to be done, the future. Like we always kind of had that picture painted, but one thing that we missed was the infrastructure. Full transparency. There's a lot that I don't have figured out just yet. We're starting to figure out more and more, but it's the first time that I have a team this big too. It's not like I had a team this big in the past and I know how to manage it right now. So there's just a lot that I didn't know and continue to not know, but learning along the way. How do you manage a team this big? How do you keep a team this big organized, motivated? How do you keep morale high? How you keep them focused on what needs to be focused on? What are the priorities? And so I would say the biggest challenge has been keeping everybody organized, happy, headed in the right direction, and the vision aligned, and to just be able to maintain growth with all of that in place.
Do you take any lessons from your previous jobs into how you're running the company? Let me give an example. So, like for me, my 2 main jobs prior to this business, let's call it. So one, Lifetime Fitness. I did sales. So they had you did front desk, a little bit different. For the sales, just so you know, like, do you know the sales training process?
Oh, well, not in detail.
It's actually pretty rigorous. So they make you train in the Lifetime Club for like 2 weeks on online trainings. Then they fly you to Minnesota, and you have to complete a week of training there. And some people fail. Like we had a class of 55 didn't make it through. So like they only accepted 45 people to actually be a sales job. Then you come back and then you work. And so what I did take from it that my parents never did in their businesses because they weren't taught to was processes, systems, reporting, job descriptions, things like that you were like never took away. Then I left Lifetime. By the way, quick flex. I took my club from number 140 in the nation to number 1 in 4 months. No big deal. Quick flex, you know. And whoever's listening who was in that club will attest to that 100%.
Hell yeah.
I used to like, dude, this is, and this is actually kind of, actually, I'm going to get into this a bit because it's a cool story. So I got promoted in an interview. They said, hey, we want to give you this job for all the awesome stuff you're doing. I said, thanks. Let me think on it. I left. I talked to my dad on the phone. Long story short, I said, how much can you pay me to come do your marketing? Because that's what I want to do. And he's like, $2,500 a month. I'm like, fuck. They just offered me 12. Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'll take it. $2,500 a month. I'll take a percentage of increase in profits year over year. And that's how we'll do it. He had other investors. They said, okay, whatever. Let's see how it goes. And so for reference, he had a franchise. And so I went in and was thinking, how do we franchise this? Right. So I was thinking, how do I make a manual for how to operate the kitchen? How do I make a manual? And I took that from Lifetime. You know what I mean? And ironically, when I got into my business, I didn't bring that into my business because it's so go, go, go. You know, you're trying to run the company. You don't have time to sit back and reflect and be like, we're missing this. It's
Very
like,
true.
Hey, we need someone else to do this, Eddie. Got it. Hired. Hey, welcome. Hey, Matt, here you go. This is what we need you to do. Here's how it works. Here's one day of us training you.
Good luck.
You should figure this shit out, I'm sure, you know, because that's what we did. So, but as you grow quicker and quicker and quicker, you onboard 4 or 5 people a month, it becomes a complete shit show. And so that's what I'm kind of asking is like, what did you take from the past experiences in order to kind of get to that point?
I feel like a lot of what I took in past experiences is not so much what to do, but what not to do. Mm-hmm. You know, I have been micromanaged. I have been put into situations where I didn't feel like I was empowered, trusted, things like that, you know, where they didn't focus on like putting me in the best situation, even just mentally, to be successful. And so an example of that would be when I was working at IHOP. And that's why I am a big fan of having as many jobs as possible growing up. So that you can be in as many different situations as possible. But my manager over there, his name is Mario and Giovanni. If you're listening, shout out Mario and Giovanni for teaching me a lot of things not to do. But they were, I wouldn't say they were the nicest people. You know, they were always kind of condescending towards you and everything that you did. Almost never told you when you were doing something great as well. You know, they wouldn't tell you good job, great job, you know, and they would always start with the bad whenever they have a meeting. So a lot of like interpersonal things where now I try to, through that and through other experiences, whenever having a meeting with anybody in the team, try to start with the good and then go into the room for improvement where it's not even considered bad, but it's room for improvement. So there's like a lot of strategic ways that you need to know and understand and implement into the conversations you have with your team. When I was working with my dad in real estate, I was reading a project management professional book, and certain things, or I realized that the more that I empower all the contractors that are remodeling the houses, the faster we can get this job done. Where I kind of like trust them and I give them the keys to the house so they could work on it. And I put them in a situation where I don't need to be with them whenever it is that they're working. That way, you know, we could remove different steps and different steps within the project that, you know, whatever needs to be done for it to be completed. So those are some of the examples that I learned, but I feel like I've learned more about what not to do, and that's mainly from not a task standpoint, but how it is that managers speak to their employees and their teams.
What about you?
For me, I think I reference Dutch Bros like at least 5 times a week. I've learned so much from that company, and it's a growing
coffee company.
Yeah,
right?
It's a growing coffee company, and I hopped in literally 2 months after graduating from college. And at the time, they had 300 locations in the Southwest. So they
Oh
were,
shit!
yeah,
It's a big company. I said it was like a local shop in like Arizona, or
right?
something.
But it felt like a local shop, and I think that's why I learned so much from them, because they were just so proud of the quality they served. They were so proud of the people they hired, and it was like everyone's goal in college to work there. It was the cool people, and they even told us in training, like. They were like, we're not even saying this from an arrogant perspective, but a lot of people look up to Dutch Bros workers like they're rock stars. Like people who work there say that they walk on campus and people are like, oh my God, you work at Dutch Bros. Like that's so cool, you know? And it like successfully captured this culture that I had never seen before. No one talks about Starbucks like that. No one talks about any coffee shop like that. Like, oh, you work at that coffee shop. But there was that coffee shop on campus, so you got to interact with a lot of college students. But anyways, I learned a lot about, you know, quality and service and speed and how important these core values are to the company, that they didn't sacrifice it for anything. It was a part of the training. It was a part of the quizzes. It was a part of, if your manager was on shift, they were keeping an eye on you for that stuff, not even from a micromanaging perspective, but just to keep that culture alive. So the first thing they taught us was speed, quality, service. Don't sacrifice one for the other. If you can go faster making the drink and the quality is going to go down, don't. And if you can go slower on the drink and the quality is going to go up, don't. The quality and the speed and the service all have to be the priority together. And so that's obviously just one of the many things that I've learned, but there were so many questions that came up in management meetings, things like, oh, I have a question. A customer came by yesterday and they said that they didn't like their drink from the day before or that morning, but their drink was already half finished. Should I remake it for them? And the manager goes, never check how much from their drink they drank. That's not your business. Like, why are you trying to find a way out of remaking their drink? Definitely remake it for them. You know, and someone's like, oh, you know, someone asked for a black coffee, but then they added a bunch of cream and flavors, and now technically it's not a black coffee. Can we charge them for a latte? And they were like, it's not your money. Like, why are you trying to find a way out of helping our customers? Those customers are the reason you have a paycheck. Hook them up, you know? And so I think I learned so much about the quality and the service and the whole concept of just bending over backwards for your customer. And I think we've implemented that so successfully in Nominal, where so many of our 5-star reviews, as they came in pouring over the first like 2 years of the business, you know, just being in business a year and a half, we had thousands of reviews, and almost like 80% of them mentioned something about the customer service, something about if there was a mistake, they fixed it immediately. If it was a late order and I missed the birthday, they hooked me up with a gift card. If I got a defective item, immediate replacement, no questions asked. And we pride ourselves so much in that, and I take that directly from Dutch Bros.
That's sick. That's actually like next level customer service.
They really were something else, to be
300
honest.
locations though?
At the time, they're probably at like 500 now. They're growing like crazy.
Freaking nuts,
Yeah.
bro. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and Arizona was one of the first states that they operated in, so that's why I was saying I got the local feel, you know, like that you know, that building was built on the college campus such a long time ago, and it feels like it's part of Arizona's culture. It doesn't feel like a chain when you go to Dutch Bros. You know the manager there, you know the people that work there, and there's just something cool about them. So whenever they taught me something, it didn't feel like a corporate rule that they came up with. It felt like they have so much pride in their coffee and in their store that we have to uphold that service. You have to remake a drink if the customer doesn't like it. There's no way around it. You know what I mean? And I think that like that structure to that quality and service just carried over for me forever. I left 2.5 years ago, and I still reference them like every day.
Yeah. You know what I hate is, do you guys smoke hookah, by the way?
No.
No?
It's been a while.
You're Middle Eastern, bro. I don't know.
Go on. We'll understand what you say.
Yeah, you'll understand what I'm saying. So, like, always when I go to anywhere that serves hookah, the hookah sucks. Like, if one sucks, right? Like, just recently, we had 3 at the table. One sucked. The other 2 are great.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly malfunction on this one, right?
Yep.
I said, hey, listen, you know, I smoke hookah. Like, I understand how this works. I need a new hookah. I don't want the same one fixed. I've tried everything. I want a completely different one because this problem's going to happen again. And in every single situation, they always go and they rework the same hookah. They never give you a fucking different, like, how much cost does it actually cost? 45 cents, maybe 50 cents.
Yeah.
Like, you literally, it's a head of tobacco. It costs nothing. I know for a fact because in Lebanon, we sell hundreds a day.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And so back to that service thing, like, all they had to do was spend 40 cents replacing this $35 hookah that I paid for, and I would be thrilled over the moon of the service. But every time they just replace, they change something in the same hookah.
Yep.
Like, I can tell it's the same tape on the same part of the hookah. Like, I'm not dumb. You know what I mean? And And it's cool to see the different perspective of service if those people operate like that, because Middle Eastern people overall kind of suck at service they take things personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that, because that's just a way different perspective.
And what's funny, 2 of your hookahs were working just fine, but which one are you telling the story about?
The third one. Exactly.
So
right?
even if they checked most of the boxes, that's not what they're going to be remembered for.
Yeah.
So that's important to keep in mind from a consumer perspective and a business perspective. People understand what goes wrong, and all you have to do is fix it. They don't even mind that it went wrong. You're not even mad about the hookah. You're mad that they didn't replace it for you.
Exactly.
But it being bad or the coals not being fresh or whatever, that's not the problem.
Yeah, and if you are mad at that, then you're just a dick.
Yeah,
because,
exactly.
You know, it happens in life. And I feel like definitely like our generation of consumers is more understanding than the ones before. I've seen a lot of crazy shit on my parents' businesses because they serve kids, so we dealt with parents. And I've seen like one time we did it was what was it? It was like a promotion. My dad wanted to do it for some reason. Kids amusement park. He's like, let's get them in on this pizza deal that, you know, you can get a pizza for $1 if you come play.
Yeah.
And in the wording, he didn't mention if you come play. Come to Tiny Town and get a large pizza for $1, something like that, right? And this lady comes and she wants five pizzas to just come take home for $5, like large ass pizzas like that. And he was like, no, absolutely not. Like, you didn't even come pay to play, or you didn't do anything, and you want 5 pizzas. And like, dude, like she was so mental about the situation. She went, she got a lawyer to audit what the offer was, to send a letter saying that she needs her pizzas. I swear to God, bro. Like, it cost her more money to drive back and pick up pizzas, to then like 2 weeks later us give her 5 large pizzas for $5.
Hire a lawyer.
Where we asked her, we're like, dude, is this for real? He's like, just give her the pizzas. You know what I mean? Like, but like, I don't see our generation doing that as frequently as the older generation, right? Because we see so much more, and so I feel like we understand so much more of the flaws that happen, even from a big business perspective. Like, and as business owners, I feel like we have an even deeper level of understanding of that, because we know all the problems that happen. And so when I go to a business, like, I don't think I ever get mad at someone making a mistake as a person.
Never.
And I don't get mad at the business either. I only get mad about how they handle the situation.
Totally.
That's it.
And I think it helps so much that we've contributed so much time over the last 3 years creating like a personalization to the brand, where we go live on Instagram. People know who's on the team. There's a meet the team page. We post a lot of behind the scenes. All the TikToks that we've ever posted that go viral never have anything to do with the product. It's Akram's birthday. This is how we fulfill orders. This is what you guys did for us on Black Friday. It was our anniversary as a company. That's what goes viral for people. And so when it comes down to a mistake from a product perspective, there's people behind that brand. There's people behind that email that you're yelling at, So I think you're absolutely right. This generation is more understanding, and that's a testament to how much social media has offered a personal look into the brand that you might have forgotten is comprised of regular people.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I have one comment on that. I definitely think they're a lot more understanding, but I do think that it's still very important for each brand to be so careful, because competition, I think, is a lot higher than it's ever been. Mm-hmm. And so they'll be understanding, they'll be patient, they'll forgive you, but they might not shop there again because they have other options. And so it's just the barriers to entry for a lot of different e-commerce businesses are not that high. And I think a lot of customers are also used to getting such a great experience. And a part of that also comes from the Amazon effect, where no matter what, if you're not happy with the product, you could probably return it, even if it's your fault. If it's beyond the return policy, push hard enough and you'll probably still get a refund. And everybody's a consumer of Amazon. So I feel like people have a certain standard where they expect a refund. They expect to be taken care of no matter what. And if they're not a big deal. They're not going to send you the longest email. They're not going to hire a lawyer, right? But they might just not shop there again. And so I think to protect your return customer rating, it's so important that you take care of your customers no matter what.
Amazon definitely set the standard really high, right? Like, I remember I did a case study on Amazon for a class in college, one of the few ones that I showed up to. This was 2013, fall of 2013. And that year, 8 years ago at this point. And by the way, Amazon was nothing back then.
True.
Like, I thought they were huge. Yeah. They were nothing. Now they're something. 8 years ago, they were losing $5 billion a year in money on shipping. Losing. Not like that's how much it cost. Right. Losing because they gave away free 2-day shipping. That's like when they first came out with it that year.
Dominate market share.
And they didn't give a fuck.
Hell no. Why would they? They knew what was going to happen.
They knew it was going to happen. But like, dude, first of all, how much balls does that take? How much money? We know how much, Jeez. Literally.
I love them.
But also, like, that set the bar. You know what I mean? Like, now it's like, if I see something doesn't ship for like 3 weeks, I'm kind of like,
even if you don't need it.
Even if I don't need it.
You don't even need to need it in the next 3 weeks. Need it now, You're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, and things that, and at the same time, as a consumer, it kind of like, you forget about things, right? Like, if you order something that comes in a month, and I know, custom stuff and things like that, like, they take longer, obviously, but like, overall, just generic items. Like, if I order something and it's not coming for a month, I actually completely forget about it. And almost by the time that it comes, sometimes I'm like, I don't even need this anymore. True. You know what I mean? Like, my appetite for this has changed, whatever it is. And it's just cool to see where that's going. And I think the next generation, like my younger brother and down, like people that are like 16 and younger at this point, 10 years after us, will be the most impatient generation we've ever seen because of it.
Big time.
They've grown up with 2-day shipping. They've grown up with instant downloads. They don't even fucking have to buy CDs for video games anymore.
Yeah, of course.
Or I have to fucking wait for the release, wait for my mom to drive me. You know how much patience that actually builds up at the same time? Like, you have to wait. Like, you literally, now it's like, oh, I want this game. Now I press this button. I have this game now.
And what's crazy about that too is that for before COVID, that expectation has been pretty much set based on Amazon and all their shipping policies. But after COVID, every single company, like Starbucks, for example, I always order the coffee so I can go pick it up. And so now there's the in-car pickup or in-store pickup or whatever it may be. So like, even for those that are impatient, don't want to order something online for it to be delivered, and they still want to like shop kind of in person and get it right then and there if it's not an Amazon Prime thing. Now, even with places like Target, Starbucks, whatever it may be, like, you can still now get your product by just ordering it and then picking it up or getting it delivered to your car. So I absolutely agree, because that is something that's been implemented in today's society within like the last 6 months.
Totally. Yeah. Curbside pickup is normal now. Yep. Grocery shopping in general is probably going to change forever. So
it's not even about germs anymore. Now it's just speed. Like, I really do order coffee and I just go and pick it up.
Hey babe, how many times have you ordered groceries compared to how many times you've gone and gotten them this year?
I think I've stepped into a grocery store probably like twice this year.
Yeah. She shops groceries every week.
Instacart.
Why? Yeah. Why not? Instacart.
It's
curbside pickup.
$9 delivery. That is nothing. That $9 is worth the hassle of me getting in my car, picking all the groceries, bagging them, then bringing them out from the car. The door knocks and the groceries are in front of my door.
Yep.
COVID accelerated the future. Honestly, this was going to happen regardless, but it accelerated it like crazy. And I mean, same with me and my family. We order through Instacart all the time. We order through Fry's all the time. It's our grocery store in Arizona. We almost never spend any time within the grocery store.
Yeah.
And they do a pretty good job picking. Like, the people delivering are like moms and stuff like that. I'm like, great, you're going to do a better job picking out an avocado than I am. You know what I mean?
And they'll take it the extra step and put it into your car. Like, they open your door and then they say it's, just to be safe, but like with COVID and everything, and they put it into your car, they put it into your back seat. So like, they really remove every single step.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's exciting to see what the future will hold. So that being said, what is the future of Nominal? Where are you guys trying to go with this? Where are you guys trying to take it? What's it look like?
The future of Nominal, a lot of things from just a logistical standpoint is we just want to be as efficient as possible. On the same subject, we are always trying to figure out how can we fulfill orders even faster? How can we churn our customer service response time from, let's say, an average of 12 hours? How can we churn emails to basically feel like chat? A lot of people expect that. We bought a Peloton for our house. I had a few questions. They responded through email within a matter of 30 minutes, and then I responded, and then they responded again. It's crazy, so we want to get to that point where we are just so fast with everything shipping and customer service related. From a storytelling and brand emotion standpoint, we do want to try to connect with as many of our customers as possible and have our customers tell their story as to why they purchased from us. You know, at the end of the day, it's never just been about giving people or providing people with jewelry that makes them look good but feel good. You know, we want to have a big impact on people's lives and allow as many people as possible to be able to express themselves and tell their story. You know, as you know, minorities typically do need to defend themselves, explain themselves over and over, and it's very exhausting for a lot of people. And so we want to kind of do our part with that as well and just help be that bridge of education and inclusiveness within our community. We have our Deed of the Month program as well, where we donate a percentage of proceeds every single month to a different cause. And so we've been able to donate over $300,000 so far with, of course, you know, the help of our Nominal community. And so we hope that within the future, within the next few years, we're able to just continue to increase that more and more and more.
That's a lot of money, dude. Congrats, man. That's a huge impact.
Yeah. It's a huge privilege. It's a huge blessing to be able to have that type of impact. But really, it's all our Nominal family and community that's able to get us that far.
Amazing. Well, let's I like to end these podcasts with one question. So let me hear what you guys got from each of you individually. One question is, if you had to give someone, you know, a few years younger than you a fortune cookie with one sentence on it, one sentence to impact their life, it doesn't have to be about business. It's just one piece of advice that would stick with them, that would help them. Someone like 5 years back from where you are right now, what would that piece of advice be?
You know, I was first going to say keep going or don't stop. Kind of like the image that I always see from motivational quotes on Instagram where it's like you were almost there. You know, if you just hit it with the pickaxe one more time, you would have struck gold. But you gave up too early and you turned around. But I think better than that, my one piece of advice would be to don't do it if it doesn't make you happy. And I say that because me, myself, there have been a lot of times throughout the last few years where I've been living what was supposed to be my dream. And I am happy right now, but there have been a lot of moments where I wasn't happy. And I had to kind of like step back and reevaluate what it was that I was doing and reminding myself of my why and why I got started to begin with. You know, like this is my dream. And how come I'm putting myself sometimes in situations where it takes away from what does make me happy? And so sometimes whether that's me just lowering my standards, lowering my expectations, certain tasks on my to-do list or certain responsibilities are just driving me crazy, let me take them off. At the end of the day, I started this so that I could be happy and so that I could take care of my family. It's not about, and even if that means leaving money on the table. So I think that's the biggest thing. Leave money on the table if it sacrifices your happiness. That's my line.
Amazing. What about you?
I would tell someone you'll never regret putting your whole heart into something. And I think that can translate into relationships, social impact, business, entrepreneurship, friendship, literally anything they tackle. I think there's a lot of space for people to fully pour themselves into something nowadays, and they kind of hold back from that. And whether that's from a relationship perspective because they think they're going to get hurt, or from a business perspective because they think the risk is too high, which is why I say like your heart, not your money, not your investments, not your time, but putting your whole heart into something will always pay its dividends.
Even in relationships?
Even in its relationships. Even if it's not that relationship, doing so will eventually pay its dividends.
Interesting perspective. Well, we'll leave it at that. But thank you so much, guys, for coming. Thank you for flying out.
Thank you for having us.
I look forward to the rest of the weekend together. That being said, hopefully, we can do this again sometime and see where Nominal is at in the future and
Definitely.
How that advice has worked for you.
Absolutely. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, man.
Where can we find you guys?
Oh, yeah. Where can we find you guys? I always forget this.
My
fortune cookie question.
Our website is nominalx.com, and our Instagram is just Nominal. Nominal.
What about each of you individually as people?
Ahmad's.story on Instagram.
And mine is, I'm going to go ahead and just spell it. AKRAMJABDALLAH94. but I'm trying to get it changed to just my first name, AKRAM.
That would be nuts.
I'm working on that trademark. It's available. It's just inactive.
No way.
I'm working on it.
We're on it. Stay tuned.
Well, so check both.
Check both just in case. But thank you so much, guys, for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the 4Media Uncut podcast. If you want to work with us, learn with us, or even join the team and be a part of what we're doing at 4Media Marketing, just go to our website. It's 4media.marketing. No .com, no .net, .marketing, because that's all we do around here. And most importantly, share this with a friend wherever you're listening to or watching this on. Please hit that share button, send it over to a friend, someone else that you think will get value out of this. It would mean the world to us.
And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video and comment down below any suggestions for future guests. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, please rate this 5 stars and leave us a review there. That helps us tremendously in the algorithm world. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode of 4Media Uncut Podcast.